Welcome to our channel. Today, you'll hear a very strong, moving, and exciting story from the car world. A tale that started with a dream, a brave woman, a smart man's new idea, a cruel leader's strong desire, and a name that stood for fancy and strength all over the globe. This isn't only about cars. This is about hurt, pastimes, hard work, wins, losses, bravery, battles, making things right, and love. In this tale, you'll find out how a German maker, Carl Benz, made something new to the world, a car with an engine. How his wife, Bertha Benz, made history with a hidden trip. How the firm later was used by Nazi Germany for war, even by Adolf Hitler. How Mercedes-Benz told the truth, owned up to its dark history, and grew to be a top-respected name worldwide. And at last, how Mercedes became a sign of high rank from Germany to Dubai, from India to Hollywood, from the past to what's next. This is the true success tale of Mercedes-Benz, a tale that is moving, deep, surprising, and hard to forget. So be sure to watch it all, as this trip has many twists, lessons, and parts that will thrill you. And before we start, please do subscribe to us if you like tales that are true, strong, and make you feel good. We share real brand tales, uplifting trips, and hidden facts to help you grow, think, and dream bigger. Your help is very important to us. Now, let us start. Let's travel to Germany in the mid-1800s. In a time when folks still rode in horse-drawn carts, no one thought a machine could go without horses. It seemed it could not be done. Some folks even said it was crazy. But one man had a vision. His name was Carl Benz. He came into the world in 1844 in a German town, Karlsruhe. He was an engineer for machines, smart, calm, and very creative. From when he was young, Carl really loved machines. While other boys were playing games, Carl was sketching gears, wheels, and motors. Deep down, he wished to make something that moved by itself, something to take the place of horses. But back then, folks did not trust these kinds of thoughts. All said, "Why do we need a car? We have horses now." But Carl kept going. He used many years of his life making an engine that ran on fuel, not animals. It was tiny, loud, and not like anything folks had seen before. But it ran. In 1885, Carl Benz at last made the world's first car run by gasoline. It had 3 wheels, a tiny motor, and it seemed like an odd bike. He named it the Benz patent motor. But there was an issue. No one trusted it. No one wished to get it. Folks made fun of him. Some even said he was mad. He felt like he had lost. And then a very key person stepped up. This is the part where the tale turns really amazing. Carl's wife, Bertha Benz, was more than just a wife. She saw the future, she trusted, and she was the true star of this tale. At a time when women could not even cast a vote, she chose to do a brave thing. One early day in August 1888, not telling her husband, she took the car with her 2 boys and started a trip that made a big change in history. She drove from Mannheim to Pforzheim, about 106 kilometers away. This was the world's first long trip by car. She had no maps, no car fixers were there to help her. No fuel stops, no roads built for cars. But Bertha was courageous. On the trip, she had to mend the car on her own. She used a pin from her hat to clear a clogged fuel line. She used her hairpin to fix a bad starter. She went to a chemist shop to get more fuel, making it the first fuel stop ever. Folks in the towns were stunned. Some felt she was a sorceress. Others could not accept that a woman was steering a metal horse. But Bertha kept on going. After many hours, she got to her mother's home and sent a message to Carl saying, "The car runs. The world is set." That trip was not only a ride, it was a sign to everyone, and it did the job. After that, folks got interested. They came to look at the car. Some giggled, but many were surprised. And bit by bit, people began to trust. Sales began, orders came, and what began in a little shed in Germany was the start of Mercedes-Benz. But the trip of Mercedes-Benz was not yet done. That was only the start. Now let us look more closely. While Carl Benz was busy in one area of Germany, in another town, Stuttgart lived another clever man. His name was Gottlieb Daimler. He shared Carl's dream, to make a machine that used fuel, not horses. But he aimed for more speed, more power, and to make machines for all, not only the wealthy. In 1886, about when Carl Benz was making his car, Daimler and his friend Wilhelm Maybach were also busy with a small motor. And you know what? They did it. They made a tiny light motor known as the grandfather clock engine and put it in a bicycle, creating one of the world's first motorbikes. Later, they put the motor into a four-wheeled machine, much like Benz's. So then Germany had two men making the future of travel, but on their own. You might guess Benz and Daimler worked as a team from the start, but not so. For many years, they were competitors. Benz had his firm, Benz and Cie. Daimler had his firm, Daimler Motor and Gesellschaft, or DMG. They raced. They had new thoughts, new motors, and even served different buyers. But another thing was going to take place, something that would bring them together for all time. Now we reach a very key part of this tale, the name Mercedes. How did it appear? Here is the real story. One of DMG's main helpers was a man named Emil Jelinek. He was a wealthy business owner, a car seller, and a man who enjoyed races. He sold Daimler cars in France and Austria, but Emil had one rule. He said to DMG, "I will sell your cars all over Europe, but the car needs my daughter's name." Her name was Mercedes Jelinek. She was just 11 years old then, and that is how the name Mercedes came to be. In 1901, DMG made a new car named the Mercedes 35 HP. It was pretty, strong, and quick. It changed car making with a longer base for wheels, a better motor, and a lower frame. Folks said it was the first new style car. It was a very big hit. Everyone began to call DMG cars Mercedes, and bit by bit, the name got more known than the firm. Then World War I happened, from 1914 to 1918. Germany was in a war. Factories quit making usual things. They began making guns, army trucks, and motors for warplanes. Benz and Cie and Daimler DMG both had to halt their normal car work and help the war. They built motors for tanks, lorries, seaboats, and planes. But when the war ended, Germany was in bad shape. The money system was ruined. The folks were needy, and firms had no money. Both Benz's and Daimler's firms found it hard to keep going. In 1926, the two firms, Benz & Company and DMG, joined up and formed Mercedes-Benz. They put together Carl Benz's name, Daimler's skill, and Mercedes as the name. They were set to win over the world, and they did it. Mercedes-Benz cars became a sign of good make, great building, and fine style. But a dark time was coming soon. Now we come to the hardest and most upsetting part of the tale. In the 1930s, a man called Adolf Hitler gained power in Germany. He had large goals to make Germany powerful once more, to make roads, factories, and guns. And can you guess who helped make those trucks and motors? Yes, Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz was a main helper for Hitler's rule. They built army trucks, motors, and even cars for the Nazi soldiers. In truth, Hitler himself was often spotted in a Mercedes-Benz 770, a very big black fancy car with glass that stopped bullets. This car got the name the Hitler car, but things were even worse. During the war, many German firms, Mercedes too, used people forced to work. This means they took captives, Jewish people, and folks from taken lands and made them work in plants in awful states. More than 40,000 folks worked like this in Mercedes plants during World War II. This piece of the tale is sad and grim, but it is also key to say what is true. And Mercedes-Benz later said this was true, said sorry to all, and gave much money to help those who lived and to teach folks about this past. They did not cover up their history. They owned up, and that earned them regard. Germany was wrecked after World War II. Towns were all broken. Factories were hit by bombs. Folks had zero things, but Mercedes-Benz started to build again from scratch. They used any stuff they could find and began making tiny cars, small vans, and buses. In 1954, they showed a new car that amazed everyone, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing with doors that went up like bird wings. It became a famous model. From that point, Mercedes grew more each year. They became a sign of fine style, strength, high rank, and German making skills. Leaders, rulers, business folks, and even movie stars in Hollywood started using Mercedes. From war to calm, from blame to being great, from a wish to a world-known name. But the path forward was not smooth, because now the world was quickly changing. Let's look at the trip of how Mercedes-Benz became a worldwide fancy symbol, how they battled strong rivals, and how they moved to the future with electric hopes. While many firms cared about speed or style, Mercedes cared about something bigger, being safe. In the 1960s, Mercedes-Benz makers asked a thing. What if cars could keep people alive, not just carry them? And then they began to add things that save lives. Crumple zones, a smart make that takes the hit in a crash so people inside are safe. Seatbelts. They pushed for seatbelts when many folks did not even think about them. Airbags. Mercedes was one of the first to put airbags in all their cars. Anti-lock brakes, or ABS. This helps the car not skid even when you brake hard. Folks started to say, if you need the safest car, get a Mercedes. And this good name stayed for many, many years. In the 1970s, the world noticed a new side of Mercedes-Benz. Fancy, strong, top class. They brought out their well-known S-Class. This was not only a car, it was like a grand home on wheels. It had soft skin seats, wood parts on the dash, comfy rides, strong motors, calm insides, and new tech for those days. Rulers, leaders, movie stars, and company heads all began picking Mercedes-Benz for their car. It became a sign of doing well. In many lands, folks would say, you know you are successful when you own a Mercedes. By the 1980s, Mercedes-Benz was not only a German name, it became known all over the world. They went to America, where Mercedes was the first pick for Hollywood actors and big business people. India, where Mercedes was thought of as the car for key folks, leaders, and movie actors. The Middle East, where wealthy oil clans bought many Mercedes for their big homes. Africa, South America, and Asia. Mercedes was in all places. They began to build plants in other lands, not only Germany. They made cars just for those places, for their roads and weather. They were now fighting worldwide and doing well. But then new rivals came. BMW, another German firm that made sporty cars for drivers. Audi, which brought new styles and quattro four-wheel drive. Lexus from Toyota, which gave Japanese fancy style for less money. Jaguar, Volvo, Cadillac, all wished for a part of the fancy car sales. Mercedes could not take it easy. So what was their plan? They started to improve more quickly. Stronger motors, nicer looks, newer tech, better fuel use, more cozy choices. They also began to make more types of cars. SUVs like the M-Class, later named GLE, smaller fancy cars like the C-Class and A-Class, and super fast cars like the SLR McLaren. In the early 2000s, Mercedes joined with the known British car firm McLaren to make a supercar, the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren. It was very, very fast, very light, and cost a lot. A mix of F1 race tech and German making skill. This car became a legend with only a few made. It was for the very, very wealthy. In the 2010s, Mercedes chose to aim even higher. They started Maybach, a special name for top-level fancy. These cars were even fancier than the S-Class, made just for very rich people. With things like seats that rub you, fridges, lights with 64 colors, and screens for private space. Mercedes Maybach was loved by famous people like Jay-Z and Beyoncé, royal families in the Middle East, and the super rich in China, Russia, and India. It felt like a private plane with wheels. Now, Mercedes-Benz sees that electric is what's next. So they made a new name, EQ, meaning electric smarts. They brought out EQS, the electric S-Class, EQE, the electric E-Class, EQB, EQA, and EQC, electric SUVs. These cars have big digital screens, a voice helper. Hey Mercedes, quick power up, long battery run, very quiet rides. Mercedes is spending huge sums to build plants just for electric cars, use clean power, and top-level AI ways. Their aim is to be all electric by 2030, and they mean it. You may ask, how did Mercedes-Benz last for more than 100 years? Why is it trusted more than Samsung, Hyundai, and even big tech firms? Here is the key. They always got better, never happy enough. They learned from what went wrong. They dealt with their hard history. They trusted in good make. They did not only hunt for money, they knew who their buyers were. They changed with the times, from fuel to mixed to electric. Let's begin with a query. Why do world heads, rulers, very rich folks, and even movie spies pick Mercedes-Benz? There is a good cause. When a president goes to another land, a Bollywood star is at the airport, a business person goes into a top hotel, or even when James Bond picks a car in some films. The car outside is many times a Mercedes-Benz because it speaks without any words. I am here. I am looked up to. I trust only what's great. Here are some true stories. Nelson Mandela and his Mercedes 500 SE. After he was freed from 27 years in jail, South African head Nelson Mandela became a world sign of calm and pardon. And when he was president, the folks of South Africa made him a Mercedes-Benz 500 with their hands. Yes, over 60 workers in the Mercedes-Benz plant in East London, South Africa, met to build the car just for him. And they did not use tools. They made it all by hand to show him respect. This car was not built by Mercedes. It was built by the folks for the man who gave peace to their land. This was more than just a car. It was a sign of hope. Princess Diana's hidden Mercedes. In 1994, Princess Diana, a very loved person in history, did what no other British royal family member had done. She began to drive a Mercedes-Benz S280. It stunned the British news people because royals should only drive British makes like Rolls-Royce or Jaguar. But Diana picked Mercedes as she liked being safe. She liked being cozy. She liked being free. But because of what others said, she had to give the car back. Yet it showed everyone that Mercedes was not only for strength, it was for safety too. Shah Rukh Khan, Bollywood's king, once said in a talk, "I would see important men in large cars and wish that maybe I'd own one someday." Now his Mercedes Maybach S580 is one of India's fanciest cars. This trip from a regular boy in Delhi to a man in a Maybach is not just about doing well. It's about how a car gets to be a piece of your own life tale. Now, this is what really makes Mercedes strong. It's not only liked by rulers and famous folks. It's trusted by families, cab drivers, medics, and normal folks who trust one thing: safety and belief. Let me share a tale. In 2012, a dad in Germany was in his C-Class with his two small kids in the back. They were off to a birthday bash. All at once, a truck from the other way lost its path and hit their car straight on. The car was ruined, the front was crushed, and folks felt no one could live through that hit. But when helpers came, all three were okay. Why? Because the car had side airbags, safe zones, strong metal, kid seat safety, and the frame stayed firm. When the dad got out holding his sad kids, he saw the broken car and wept, but not from hurt. He wept as he knew Mercedes saved his whole world. In 2016, Mercedes started a system named MBUX, Mercedes-Benz User Experience. It's an AI voice helper in the car. Now you could say, "Hey Mercedes, I feel cold," and the car would make it warmer. "Hey Mercedes, show me the closest fuel stop," and it would lead you. You feel it stops now? No. Mercedes is now making flying cars with Volocopter, a Mercedes friend. Cars that drive themselves using AI and satellite maps. Seats that check how stressed you are. Green plants that make no bad air, and cars that can even show films on the front glass. They are making cars that are not just for travel. They are like new age spaceships. Now let's look closer at the real idea of the logo. The hard times they don't hide, how much they are worth now, and the strong life tips this name shows us. You know the 3-point star in a ring. It seems plain, but it's one of the strongest brand signs on earth. But what is its point? 3 points, 3 places: land, sky, water. Yes. When the sign was made, Daimler, one of the first starters, said, "Our motors will lead on land, in the sky, and on the water." It was not only a wish, it was a vow. And now Mercedes makes fancy cars, land. They have worked with planes and choppers, sky, and even boat motors, water. See, that small sign has a huge idea. No thing can't be done. Now, let's see the figures. The firm is a piece of Mercedes-Benz Group AG, once Daimler AG, one of the wealthiest and most honored firms on earth. Here's what to know. Brand worth 2025, over $60 billion US dollars. Yearly income 2024, about $165 billion US dollars. Workers worldwide, over 170,000 folks. Cars sold in 2024, over 2.4 million cars. Full worth of Mercedes-Benz Group, guessed at 100 to 120 billion US dollars. They are in the top 10 car names with most worth worldwide, fighting with names like Toyota, Tesla, and BMW. But more key than cash, they are wealthy in belief, faith, and good name. Each big name has a history, and Mercedes does not flee from its own. They own up, say sorry, and teach. In World War II, Mercedes plants were used by the Nazi rulers. They also made captives, and war-hurt people work by force to make motors and trucks. This is a grim fact. But not like many firms, Mercedes-Benz said sorry to all. Gave much money to funds for Holocaust survivors, made memory spots in their plants, and showed all old papers openly. They show us that doing well means zero if you are not kind. Here are some strong lines from Mercedes through time. The best or not a thing. Safety is not just tech, it's a duty. Fancy is not about cost, it's about your feeling. And the top one, we don't sell cars, we make feelings. In May 2022, Mercedes-Benz sold a very special, super rare car. A 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe. Price, $143 million. Yes, it was the highest priced car ever sold in all of history. Why? Because it was not only a car. It was beauty, past times, and smart making skill on wheels. And only 2 of them were ever built.